I was actually an executive in corporate America and was rising through the ranks and leading a leadership unit or business unit within the company, managing about $200 million in business and about 250 people. And I really loved it on a lot of levels and was really excited about it until I wasn't. I was constantly giving away time and parts of myself to really keep up with the pace of the executive role that I was in. And meanwhile, I had 2 kids at the time who were in elementary school in 3rd and 5th grade, and a husband who was doing his career. So we were hustling during the week and hustling on the weekends on the soccer sidelines. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to, really work hard and, chase after this, this American dream of financial security and having the role and doing these things that my mom and my grandmother only dreamed of doing. But the challenge was I wasn't actually that happy in it, and I was trying to be happy. There were elements of the job that really lit me up, but over time, I think I spent so much time trying to be everything everybody needed me to be that I really lost touch with who I was. Really, the next chapter of my leadership journey, which is now spending the next 2 years from then really digging into what made me stay and what makes executive women stay in situations that they've outgrown. How much do we feel like we have to abandon ourselves to fit into a system that maybe wasn't designed for us? And what's the main culprit of why this happens, and how can we actually shift out of it? And so I wound up doing the research, writing a book, interviewing 300 women and their stories for it. It's called Ditch the Hustle Culture and Thrive Again, right over my shoulder. And it's really this whole process of how to actually rehab from this addiction of the hustle culture that keeps us always on, and a process to reconnect with the things in your job that really light you up and actually point that ambition towards those things where you find more meaning, which ultimately should lead to more retention and more women in leadership and less burnout playing a game you might not be able to win.
I want to start with, though, the should. Right? Because you mentioned we should do this. And I think we're all, ingrained in us in society and culture and maybe family. This is what you should do. You should look for something safe and financially secure. And I'm curious, in the interviews that you did, was that a big piece that showed up for people as to why they stay in these types of jobs?
Yes. And you mentioned the actors in those stories, right? Of, well, my boss said this, or my dad always wanted this. And so often the way I like to think about this is now, as I, wrote the book and then started a leadership company where I coach executives on how they can take these same processes. So much of what I use in that is asking people to say, whose stories are really playing on repeat in your head? And are they your stories, or are they somebody else's that you inherited or you picked up along the way that maybe was useful for one phase of your leadership, but it's time to set down? And so when I think about the shoulds, I come back to that. Like, who's saying you should? Does society tell you that this is what a good mom or a good worker looks like? Does maybe your family of origin, your parents said that, you should go out and work really hard and try to take care of your family, and we have a responsibility to leave the next generation better than we found it. That's what I was told and taught, and I marched into the workplace doing just that. But I think part of what our challenge is, all those shoulds aren't always, balanced for the life that we're living, or even the generation that we're in, right? So all of that family wisdom was awesome from my grandmother, who survived the Depression. She gave me a great recipe for how to actually take care of your family and, and amass enough financial security to not be vulnerable if war and famine breaks out. But it wasn't a great recipe for really thriving in your life. And so I think that's really where we see so many women in particularly are saying, okay, well, now I can be more than the 3 roles of, a teacher, or a nurse, or a librarian. But where's the rule book and the handbook for how I actually live my life and enjoy it at this phase? And the reality is we're writing that right now.